started, friends. So what I want to do, before I jump into Teams and talk about the technology, I want to quickly cover and discuss how our modern workplace looks like today. And then I'll walk you through Microsoft Teams, but more importantly, I'll also talk about the big picture. What Office 365 groups and Teams and Yammer and SharePoint and OneDrive and SnapHub, Planner and RunVM. And then I'll talk about new features, what's coming, I'll briefly touch security, and then I'll also talk about the relationship with Teams and Skype. Does that work with everybody? Alright, so if we look at today, friends, everybody talks about modern workplace, but what does this mean, right? Today, it doesn't matter what business you're in, we're all a technology company. To compete, to grow, to excel in our industry, we rely on technology. And as such, the moment we wake up in the morning, what do? I woke up this morning, first thing I did was grab my phone. Yeah. I looked at maybe my email, my Facebook feed, Twitter. I checked a couple emails. I started an email, but I didn't finish because I had to get breakfast to come here. As soon as I set up, I finished my email. We like it or not, that's our world today. And it's a good thing, because regardless where we are, what we do, what device we use, we can work efficiently, work effectively. And when we talk about work, work is not a place anymore. Back in the days, right, when you think about work, you go to a building, you sit in a desk, 9 o'clock, then you go home at 5. That's work. But today, work is anything, anytime, anywhere in the world, and I'm sure a lot of you here work with different colleagues in different countries and places. Even in Germany alone, where it's so spread out. My colleagues works in Munich, and I have colleagues in Frankfurt, and Cologne, and Hamburg, and Düsseldorf, right? But we get stuff done. It's the power of technology and how we can effectively deliver productivity. Now, what's fascinating is how we work varies depending on who we are. This is a research done by Avanade. They did a phenomenal job trying to figure out how people communicate and how people collaborate. For example, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but they found out generally for the baby boomer generation, which is born between 1946 to 1964, the baby boomers love in-person, face-to-face meeting. However, the baby boomers, they don't like virtual meeting like Skype using video. Maybe they'll do Skype audio, but not Skype video. But the opposite, if you look at the Generation Z, 1998 to 2020, which by the way, in the next 3 years, our workforce would start having these generation. They like in-person meeting, but they like online video meeting as well. Now ducks, why should I care? We're IT. When they come to my office, no choice. Here's your laptop, here's your VPN, next. Can't do that anymore. Because if marketing comes to me and saying, hey, I want to collaborate with my vendor outside, it'll take me 10 years because I have so many tickets to handle before I give you your collaboration site. You're like, forget it. I'm going to swipe my credit card and hit Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, Slack. Right? So what this tells us, friends, is there's different preferences on how people communicate and how people work. Because frankly, let's face it, even in our personal lives, when was the last time, forget work, when was the last time you used email to talk to your family? We only use email today to get our Amazon.com receipts. You look at your children or friends you know in college, it's fascinating. I have 2 kids. My son Johannes, 12 years old, and my daughter Danica, she's 7. But my son in school, They don't have a concept of email. Right? They use these modern tools like Google Hangouts. They use Office 365. They don't have a concept of sending documents as attachments. No, I'm just sharing the link. That's how people work today. They use mobile devices. And that's the new normal. And as such, right, when we think about work, because people have different preferences, before, what happens? Before, as IT, we only offer the regular communication collaboration tool. Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, AD, and Skype, that's about it. But that's not enough. You know, customers tell me, well, docs, I don't understand Microsoft. Every week they release a new tool, a new technology. It's too much. Well, let's think about it this way. Even if Microsoft, they stuck with Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive, and they don't release anything new, do you think the business will settle with that? No. Like I said, marketing, SharePoint's too complicated. I just need to share something with a vendor. Right? I don't want to share. I can't send my attachment because it's too big, so I'm just going to go to Box or Dropbox. In fact, Microsoft, while not perfect, has done us a favor, because realizing the different tools and choices and how people communicate and work, it provided to us a complete solution in the same platform. We don't even have to talk about cost. I mean, you pay Office 365, depending on licensing, E3, E5, a monthly cost. If they introduce Teams or Staff Hub or Planner, you're not paying more. Whereas, oh, we got to pay Slack. We got to pay Asana or Dropbox or Box. That's one problem. And then the second issue is, if you have multiple tools from a user, it's different experiences. And it's not connected. Oh man, I'm using this cloud project management tool called Asana or Trello, which is okay, which is good, but then I need to put it in our internal system, a very powerful database called Microsoft Access. So now I have to copy and paste. Oh, it's updated here, but not updated. You know what I'm talking about. The most important thing, friends, this is a big issue today, especially in light of GDPR coming. With different platforms, with shadow IT, right? How do you know there's no personal information that's sitting in Box or Dropbox? Even if the user says, ich weiß nicht, I know, it's still our problem as IT. So we want to minimize that. And that's what Microsoft offers. And taking it further, while there are all these different communication collaboration tools, Microsoft took one more step and created Office 365 groups. So what is Office 365 groups? I want to explain this clearly, because if you don't understand this, everything else won't make sense. Office 365 group is not a product. That has to be clear. Office 365 group is not a technology, a collaboration tool, a communication tool. So you can't compare it, Office 365 group, SharePoint, or Teams. No, it's not. Office 365 group is a membership provider. So if you're back in the old world, you're used to security groups in AD. Similar concept. We're good? Okay, so I get it. But how does this work, Docs? How does Office 365 group work? Office 365 groups is built on Azure Active Directory, AAD. And the idea is, it wants to federate your communication and collaboration resources so that the collective of people you're working with can share and use the same technology. Now listen, let me explain, right? Let me explain. Now, starting at this point, it's 9:40, when I describe the team or group of people working together, I'm going to call that posse. My posse. All right? Because I don't want to use the word groups and teams, it's going to confuse it. So when I say my posse, I want to talk about the people I work with. We're good? Okay, so let me give you an example. You know, in the past, before the cloud, in the early days, we had SharePoint, right? Anybody use SharePoint? Great. So I had the great privilege of writing a book in the mid-2000s. I wrote a book called SharePoint for Project Management. Anybody bought that book or seen that book? Man, that was 80 cents a copy for my son's college fund. So the idea is, okay, you have a new project, you need to create a project site in SharePoint, yeah? Now, the problem is, well, we have this project site in SharePoint before, but let's face it, where do people talk? People talk in email, right? In Outlook. Oh, what's going on with the project? So the communication goes back and forth around the project, but then there's this SharePoint site where all the files are. Yeah? And then sometimes an instant message, hey, did the release go out well? So now you have the site, instant messaging about the project. We're emailing about the project, and then all the documents is in SharePoint, but there's no relationship. So what Microsoft did, they said, you know what? The world is different. The way we work and communicate requires and relies on different tools and technology. It's not a one-size-fits-all. We can't just say, just do everything in SharePoint. So what they decided, they said, look, let's create this membership provider called Office 365 Groups, which essentially is the keychain that holds everything together. You follow me? So now, if I want to work on a project with my posse, I will create an Office 365 group, and as soon as I create an Office 365 group, it automatically creates tools for me to use. What does it create? It creates groups in Outlook. It gives me the distribution list capability. It creates SharePoint, and I'll show this to you in a second, which allows me to store files for my posse. It creates an Outlook calendar to share within this Office 365 group. It creates Planner for task management. It creates OneNote. Okay, I'm not going to talk about Teams here. Do you guys follow me so far? Okay, guys. Okay, so question. Ich habe eine Frage. Is that right? My German's rusty. I used to live here 20 years ago. Ich war in einer kleinen Stadt in Moldau bei Sachsen-Anhalt. Letzte 1998. So it's too long. So I'm trying to practice my German here. Okay, I get it. But who can create Office 365 group? Office 365 group, if enabled, obviously as a tenant admin, you can turn it on. Everybody in the company can create it. No cons, there's no permissions and whatnot. Once you turn it on, you can create it. But if it's turned off, who can create it? Obviously the admin can create it. The admin center. Alright? Where can they create Office 365 group? How many ways can you create Office 365 group? Do you guys know? If you know, I'll give you a real prize. 17 ways. You can create it the regular way, the common way, is to create it in Outlook client. You know, if you go to Microsoft Outlook, at the bottom, there's a create group. When you create a group in Outlook, or a user does, it creates an Office 365 group, then it creates groups in Outlook, SharePoint, Outlook Calendar, Planner, and OneNote. It doesn't create teams. Okay, we'll talk about teams. You can create it in SharePoint Online, you can create Yammer, you can create in Teams, you can create it in your mobile apps, all that good stuff. So, Office 365 groups. Now, how does all this fit then, ducks? You have all these technologies, and how should I think about it? I'll talk more about it in a second. You know, the way you should think about it, it's too much if you try and figure out every single product. Obviously, as IT, we have to know it, but conceptually, think about it from two perspectives. Microsoft has a great slide kind of helping you to think through it. It's within your work, right? When you do teamwork, really, there's what's called the inner loop and the outer loop. So let me talk about the inner loop. The inner loop are the people you work with on a regular basis. Your department, your project team, your going back and forth in collaboration. And if you have that type of work happening, Teams is perfect, which we'll talk about. Now, what about other tools like Yammer does? If you want to engage with your whole company, like for example, our company, we have 1,500 people around the world. I live and work in Washington, D.C., like I said, but my colleagues here, right, they don't really know what I do every day. But if I want to ask a question and say, hey, I have a new migration project from Lotus Notes to Office 365. Anybody still using Lotus Notes? I'm sorry. Let's talk after, right? Now, so let's say I haven't done that, but instead of reinventing the wheel, I know my friends here in Germany, my colleagues, they have done it because they do a lot of migration. So I'll just jump on the app and say, hey, anybody worked on Lotus Notes migration to Office 365? And my colleagues see it, they jump, yeah, Gus, I've seen it, let me drop an email and kind of talk about it. So that's the outer loop. Now, what about all the other technologies? Certainly SharePoint is a central technology because not only can it store files, which is fine, you can use it for more structured communication like a publishing side, your intranet, all that good stuff, workflows, which I'll show you. And then last but not the least, email. I mean, email's not going to go away. But think about email more for targeted communication, one-on-one, outside the company. Email is not suited anymore for our day-to-day work that has high velocity. Y'all with me? All right, we'll talk more about this. But this is how you should think about it. And like I said, you know, Office 365 Group holds it together. Office 365 Group is kind of like a keychain. Now, the growth of Office 365 is phenomenal. Microsoft is continuously investing. In fact, they're opening up data centers around the world. You have a local data center here. So innovation is just flourishing. Why is that important, docs? It's important because you have the confidence that this platform will be here to stay. You have the confidence that you can provide options to your users. And I don't know if you're keeping up with the news, Microsoft is really the new cool kid. All these innovations and technology, you know, of the top 10 apps in the iOS store on your iPhone, I think 4 or 5 of them are Microsoft apps. So, let's jump into Teams. So what is Teams, right? Teams is the hub for teamwork. Other than being able to chat, being able to put files, pretty much you can do everything there with your inner loop, with your posse. And there's a lot of things you can do. You can communicate, it hooks up to Office, you can connect it to bots. I'll show a demo of bots in a second. And it's really, really powerful. So just to kind of walk you through and show you an example, how does all this work, right? So, how do I use Teams, Doc? So step 1, if you have Office 365 subscription, your users or yourself can easily go to teams.microsoft.com. So as soon as they jump into Teams, this interface would show up. Obviously, it would authenticate you. It will make sure that you're able to log in, all that good stuff. And as soon as you log in, this will show Teams is accessible via a browser, a desktop client, which I'll show you in a second, and also your mobile device. It has an app, right? So once you get into Teams, if you haven't used it yet, this will be empty. So don't worry about all that stuff. How do I get started, docs? To get started with Teams, I can click Add Team. All right? Now, notice that it provides some suggestions. When you create a team, you have the option to keep it public or private. What public means is anybody else in the company, they can see it in the directory, and they can join that team. Yeah? So as I create a team, because there's no public team, as I create a team, I can call it my Frankfurt posse, all right? And I can define private or public. Now, so this is important, before I continue, I want to go back to this slide, friends. So if I look at this, right? Well, Dux, here's the deal. So if you create a new team, what does it do? Does it just create a team? No. It creates an Office 365 group. It will create groups in Outlook, so you have distribution to SharePoint, Outlook, or Planner, OneNote in the team. Y'all follow me? But wait. What if I already have an Office 365 group? Because like last week we used it, we went to Outlook, we created one. Can I connect to that? Yes. So if you already have an Office 365 group, when you create a team, actually it's going to ask you, do you want to create a new team with a new Office 365 group, or do you want to connect to an Office 365 group? Y'all follow me? This is important. I've seen a lot of people don't realize this, and they created like 2 separate Office 365 groups, which is a problem. Now, so when I come here, private, public, so I'll just say private. Let me hit next. So as soon as I hit next, right, I can add members. I can add Alan. I can add Adele. All right. And notice it's either they're a member or an owner. So they're just member, and you can add more people. Let me hit close. So as soon as I do that, what happens? Again, in the background, Outlook, groups in Outlook was created. SharePoint was created. Planner, calendar, OneNote. So once it's created, Docs, how does this work? All right. So if you look at the Teams interface, my Frankfurt Posse Teams was created, and beneath it, this thing is called a channel. It creates a channel called General. It's like the default channel. So within a channel, you can jump in, start a conversation, which I'll show you in a second. And if you want to create more channels to organize your team, you can do so. All you have to do is click on this ellipsis, this 3 dots, and you can say add channels, all that good stuff. Y'all with me? Now, what happens to the 2 people you added, Ducks? I added Adele and Alan. As soon as I added them, they got a notification. Hey, you're added to this team. Click here. All that good stuff. So now, how do I engage, right? So, just like anything else, I can start engaging. I can say, hey guys, let's start communicating here. And I can even mention Alan. I can mention Adele. Every time I do this, it's essentially going to send out a notification. Now, the user themselves can turn off the notification, because the last thing you want is they keep getting all these emails, right? So I can do that easily. Now, within your channel, let me close this little message here. Within your channel, notice up top here, I'm in the Frankfurt Posse team, the general channel. Again, the ellipsis, we have all these different options. We have what's called tabs, okay, tabs. There's default tabs, conversations tab, files tab. In files tab, guess what? That's your SharePoint document library. And the way this document library works, and I'll show you, each files tab is a folder in the SharePoint library of that SharePoint site. Okay? So, Dux, can you show me? Of course. So if I click open in SharePoint, notice that this right here is a SharePoint team site. Notice that in my SharePoint site, proper members are here, right? And within my SharePoint site, I have my home, and my documents. And notice if I go to my documents, all right, kind of it's loading kind of slow here, but if I go to my documents, there you go. Within documents, notice you have the general folder, which correlates to my general channel. So I can add a new channel. I can say the project X and add. So now I have a new channel. Again, what is it doing? It's creating a new channel. It's creating these new tabs. Files, it will show up as a new folder in my SharePoint site. Okay? There you go. So that's the basics of this. Now, any questions? We're good? How's everything so far? Good? Okay. So now, what else is going on here, Doc? So within as you can see, within a channel, I can do conversations, I have different tabs. I can add a tab, right? The cool thing is, I can add all these different capabilities, and Microsoft keeps adding to this. So let's say you want to embed a OneNote library, a form, a Word document. So let me look for something here. There's something here called website. Where did I miss it? Website. Oh, I was thinking about a SharePoint site. My bad. But you can add in any of these things. So let's say, you know, I just want to add a Word document, right? Tab name, Word. There are no files on this location. All right, let me do this. Let me go ahead and create let me just upload a Word document. All right. Let me pick yeah, there you go. So here you go. It's a Word document, so I'm uploading it. So as soon as it finished, notice it's uploading. There you go. So now let me add a tab, Word document. Let me pick my Word document, save, voila. It creates a tab, right, where that Word document is there, and then I can edit through directly here, or I can open up in Word. Y'all follow me? Now, why is this important? Now, this is really powerful. Why? Because now, I don't have to go anywhere when I'm working. I'm here to chat. I can look at my files. I can go to Word. If I have a PowerPoint, if I have Power BI, it's all there. Now, another example. So let me bring up this Teams. It's an AppPoint internal team, right? And you know, I'll talk about this in a second. One of the things we have here is our photo of the day channel, right? So I work a lot with my marketing colleagues around the world. So we have some general articles. So we share articles when we read, you know, cool articles. So we all can learn from each other. My colleague Chisa in Japan. But we also have this thing called photo of the day. You know, we just kind of share photos. Like the other day, I was in Munich with my colleagues, so I shared these pictures, right? And the cool thing with this is it makes work more meaningful and brings the relationship closer. And come on, let's face it, people are used to this. When they go out of work, they do Instagram and Facebook and all that. And I have all these apps on my phone that pretty much behaves and functions the same way. So it's up to you how you guys want to do this. Now, another example. So let me go back here for a second. So other than putting all these tabs, what else can I do, Ducks? Certainly, there's a store you can hook up to, which I'll talk about in a second. Microsoft is investing heavily so that partners and third-party apps can be integrated here. So really, what Teams is today for me, Teams is my new Outlook client. You know when you go to work, Outlook is just sitting on your third monitor all day long? That doesn't happen to me anymore. It's just Teams. I just live and work in Teams. Which is great. It's my one-stop shop, right? It's the hub for all your teamwork. Now, Ducks, it could go It can be crazy though. I mean, listen, I'm busier than you are, right? I can now imagine I have all these different teams because I'm an important person and everybody's adding me to their teams. It's going to be too much. Well, I can argue the same for email. Right? But how can I know what's important, what I should look at, all that good stuff? Let me show you a couple of things. First of all, on the left side, you have what's called your activity feed. Your activity feed will show if you're mentioned or somebody replied to your post. So if you're talking to somebody, they responded, you'll have a notification there. The other thing is you can certainly filter. Just look at the unread, the mentions, whatever. You can look at your feed. If you want to see team or your own activity, you can do that. Now the other thing is, if I go back to teams, notice this team is bolded. So if it's bolded, and look at the channel general is bolded, it means that there's some new posts that I have not seen. Now it may have nothing to do with me, which is fine, so I don't really need to look at it, because if people need to talk to me, they will mention. So in this example, right, our launch team. So again, you can look at all the files, the OneNote. We have a tab for a go-to-market summary, which is an Excel file, a product brochure. You can keep adding as much tab as you want. Now, another thing you'll find here is chat. So in the chat, this behaves exactly like Skype. But better than Skype, I'm sure a lot of you use Skype. When you finish chatting, when you close your Skype window, it's gone. With this, when you chat, it keeps that conversation secret. But in addition, it also provides that rich way to communicate. So you can say, you can add, so let's say, hey Alan, congrats on your promotion, right? And not only can you send this text, you can add relevant memes if you want. Let's do this. There you go. All right. Now you may find it funny. You may find it, well, we can't do that at our work. Again, the way people communicate is so different. Like, I find that it makes it more personal other than just text. You can use me, thumbs up, emoticons, and all this good stuff. And you can add other types of information too. I can send weather information. We have Trello. I can add any Trello task, which you cannot do in Skype. Imagine being able to do all this within a one-to-one conversation. What do you guys think so far? Good stuff? Now, just to wrap up, at least in this part of the demo, so all my teams, all my meetings are here. This integrates my Outlook calendar. I can create a new Teams meeting. In fact, in my experience, Teams meeting is much stable and much better than Skype meeting. So if you're not aware of this, there's no date yet, but for Skype Online, Skype for Business Online, Office 365, Microsoft has a roadmap that they'll retire Skype for Business Online, and all the functionalities and capabilities that you're used to will be in Teams. Now, if you're on-prem using Skype server on-prem, Microsoft will continue to invest in it. They'll continue to grow that product. Right? Certainly, I can look at files. This is all the files I've been working on within Teams, within my OneDrive. And notice you can even add third-party storage providers. And you can add other shortcuts as well. So I can go to Planner. I can look at all my tasks in Planner. So the cool thing is, when we talk about the hub for teamwork, it's not just the hub for my posse, but also the hub for my work that I'm involved in. It's like a one-stop shop. Now, let me show you a quick demo of a meeting experience, because I recorded. It's hard for me to do a live meeting, so check this example out. I'll show this real quick, but see how the meeting experience looks like. So, yeah, so this is a quick example of how the meeting experience looks like. And what's cool about this is obviously, everybody's on video here. You can see the PowerPoint is similar to Skype. And you can have a group chat on the side, which is stored. Meaning, if somebody missed a meeting, you can have the meeting in your channel. And then the meeting is recorded. It can be recorded. And all the chat is there. So people can go back who missed it, not only see the presentation, but can see all the side conversations as well. So it's really cool. Now, what about use cases, docs? Certainly, where this is powerful and effective is being able to tailor it to specific use cases within your business units, right? So certainly there's sales use cases, marketing. So let me talk about marketing. This is my world, and let me show you an example. Okay, so let me give you a background, right? So this is teams for my team, AppPoint. I have a global team of marketing people. And my colleague Martina's here. She's leading our marketing here in Germany, but then I have colleagues in France and Asia and Singapore. I travel a lot, and I have different groups in my marketing organization. So, we have a team for everybody in AppPoint marketing. This is where, essentially, if I want to communicate to everybody, or everybody wants to talk to everybody, share ideas, work, whatever, or if we have a global project we're working on, it's all here. Now, my marketing organization has different posses. We have the digital marketing posse, the field marketing posse content, and within their posse, right, they're doing their own work. So for example, in content marketing, one of the things that they're working on is our GDPR campaign. So the other day, I go, hey Julie, what's up with the GDPR campaign, right? So Julie said, we're good to go. She just copied a screenshot, and literally she took a screenshot, copy and pasted in the conversation. She said, do you want to meet right now? I go, yes, please. So at that point in time, within Teams, a video call came up. I said, and then we started talking. Hey, Julie, what does this look like? We shared, and we didn't record that call. We could have recorded that call, and the recording would be there. Y'all with me? And by the way, when we did this, I was on my phone. I was waiting in an airport. Now, there you go. And then the other thing that's really useful for me is I don't have to keep bugging people. Hey, how's the GDPR campaign? How's this? How's that? Because everybody's working here, right? I can come here and say, okay, let me check my technical writing team. What are they working on? So I could just do a review of what people are working on and how they're working. And then if I have comments, so like our colleagues in China, they're on holiday, they're saying we're holiday, right? I can jump on and comment or just figure out what's going on. And this is something you can do in email or Skype, right? I also need to look at our new releases for our product. So we have a product called Citizen Services. So I can look at the latest release, right? And then they have a blog that they wrote. Okay, let me look at this blog my colleague Paul wrote about. In the blog, this is the blog, I'm reviewing it, and check this out. As he posted the blog, people are putting comments here, so I can read everybody's comments. I can jump into it, edit it directly. I can say edit, right? Directly within Teams, I can start editing. So let's say, this one, I want to highlight, what have you, all that good stuff. So the experience, especially from an end user perspective, it's seamless. I got to go to SharePoint. I got to go to OneDrive. While we all know it's SharePoint, it's OneDrive, it's Office, but the experience is in this one environment. Is this helpful? Okay. And certainly one last example, another great example is Teams is really good for events. Imagine, when we're doing events, right, there's a lot that goes into an event. There's an event planning, there's logistics, there's travel, all that good stuff. So every time we have an event, like Tech Summit in DC is coming up, my colleagues there are working on it. It's here. We already have photos. We have channels for what we're doing for marketing, all that good stuff. So by being able to tailor it to your organization, to your business unit, they'll figure it out. In fact, I have to be honest, today, when I think about collaboration with my posse, I don't think about SharePoint anymore. Which really is not a bad thing, because SharePoint is still there, don't get me wrong. I just think about, oh, let's create a team. Let's create a new channel. Because in the past, right, oh, we have a new project. Let's create a new SharePoint site. Well, guess what? Not every project needs a SharePoint site. Let's just create a channel. And let's work on it. Well, with me. Now, if you want to get ideas on how to use this stuff, Microsoft has a great resource called Productivity Library. And the cool thing about this is I can look at scenarios. Oops. Yeah, I can look at scenarios. Let's try this again. There you go. Let's say you are in manufacturing and you want to look at what you could do with teams. Right? Apply. And there you go. So now it gives you, okay, use tools to ensure events. So when I click on that, it gives me, you can schedule, reschedule, you can share, and this is a great way to work with the business. So the idea now is what are you trying to achieve, business? We should stop, and I'm guilty of this, I used to do this. This is how we work, right? How do you like your Office 365? SharePoint, Yammer, Teams. You want to supersize it? Let's put Power BI. Next! We do it a very programmatic approach. It won't happen. Nobody can figure out what to do with it. That's why SharePoint, being a 16-year-old product, is still a glorified file share. It's where files go to die. But you know SharePoint is much more powerful than it. So now we have to flip the conversation. We as IT, we have to be business partners and say, what are you trying to do? Let's not talk about these tools. What are you trying to do? And as soon as they keep using it, they will figure out what these tools are for. Start with, how can I solve your business challenge? There's so many things you can integrate with this Teams with. Right now, there's over 150 integrations and continuously growing. And beyond that, right, you can even extend the capability. You could do bots and AI and connectors. So let me give you an example. I'll show two examples. So if I go to Teams, I go to chat, by default, there is a bot that's built in called TBot. So you can ask questions around Teams. I can say, how can I create a channel? So as soon as I do that, it's going to go and find that FAQ knowledge base around how do I create a channel, and then voila, it's there. Imagine this. Imagine in your company, you can use this technology with bot and connect it to everything in the company. So if a new employee comes, hey, who do I talk to for expenses? You don't need a person to answer that. The bot will just take care of it, right? In fact, let me show you another example. Let me bring up my phone here because I want to show a mobile example. This is a kind of cool example. All right. So now, what I'm going to do. One second. So let me connect to the. Oh, there you go. I'm good. I'm connected to the Wi-Fi. Oh, that's good. There you go. Okay. So here's my scenario, right? I'm going to explain my scenario and I'll show you a demo. What's the code? 6016. Okay. All right. So here's the scenario. Okay. So notice here's Teams. There's me. And I'm chat. And I went to the Teams store and I added a bot called Missy. This is a bot that talks with Microsoft talks to Microsoft Flow, and I hooked it up with another technology. So here's the scenario. You know how when people request for a SharePoint site, right? What do? They go to IT, they go to service request, they fill out a form. Dear IT, I need a SharePoint site because I'm working on a project. Submit. Yes? And then they wait, whatever. Well, what if your user can do this? I want a site. So what's going on? I send this command, the bot is checking my permission, if I can do this or not. Right? Once it's checked my permission, it's going to make sure this is allowable. It's going to come back, oh great, what should the title of the site be? Schnell. That's good too. Chanel. When Deutsch is sensualist, you can't pronounce it. How about a description? External site, whatever. So imagine this. A user being able to ask for IT-related stuff. Well, Docs, this is too good to be true. You're a developer. Well, that's true. I started my career in assembler. A lot of you don't know that. You weren't born yet. But I didn't do any programming here. Friends, what I did, here's what I did, right? So it says it's submitting a request. So what I did, I hooked up this bot. All right. You know what? Let me turn this, let me stop mirroring so we can see it. All right. So here's what I did, right? So check this out. This is Teams. So I talked to the bot. I said, go and create me a site, right? The site has been submitted and requested. I'll let you know when the site has been approved. So I still put an approval process. It's not like when a user asks for a site, we're going to give them a site. So I connected this bot to Microsoft Flow, right? So in Flow, I said, you know, if somebody requests for a site, pick it up, check their permissions, all that good stuff. And then what about the approval, Ducks? So I connected to a third-party tool. We have a tool called Cloud Governance because we don't want just random people creating sites, right? So now my boss, he got an email. Hey, Docs wants to create a SharePoint site. Do you approve or not? So now my boss will get an email, a notification. So as soon as my boss logs in, and by the way, my boss could have gotten in Teams as well. It doesn't matter. As soon as my boss logs in, so it's authenticating, all that good stuff, my boss can come to a little to-do list. All right. There you go. And then my boss will look at the request. Everything is tracked, right? View my to-do list. So when I look at this, it will say Docs requested for a site. And as soon as my boss approves it, blah, 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 okay, all is good, approve, okay. And then what? If I go back here, this will respond, good news, your site has been approved, you can use the link. Voila. What do you guys think? Good? Tough crowd, man. You see, a lot of us are thinking Teams are just chat, share files. I mean, that's where you start. The power is start integrating with all this stuff. Hey, who should I talk to for expenses as IT? Hey, can you pull up how many people requested sites or who deleted this? All in one single console. So, just, you know, with a few minutes left, just providing some guidance to everybody, right? Team does not support SharePoint on premises. What does that mean, Docs? Every time you create a team, the file storage capability is in SharePoint Online. You cannot point it to on-prem. SharePoint Online required to access, share, and store files in Teams and conversations. OneDrive is required to share and store files in private chat. So if I have a private chat with my colleague and I decide to share files, so if I come here, where's my other Teams environment here? If I come here and I'm talking to Alan, if I decide to send a file to him, this file is actually living in my OneDrive for Business in Office 365. It cannot be anything on-prem. It's all tied to Office 365. So if you want your users to create teams, Office 365 group creation has to be enabled. And you know, one of the things Microsoft has, they have network assessment tools. If you want to roll this out to your entire company, you can test it to see what type of capacity and bandwidth and all that good stuff that it may consume. And Microsoft has introduced a lot of PowerShell commandlets so that IT, if you want to do some custom stuff, you could definitely do it. Now, what about external collaboration? You can certainly do this today to provide external access, right? There's a scenario where, you know, I work for AvePoint, you work for a different company, but this could be useful other than email. I don't want to use Box or Dropbox. You could do external access. The external user has to have an Azure AD account. It cannot be a Facebook account, a Google account. It has to be Azure AD. You don't have to buy extra license for that person, but the requirement is they have to have an AAD account. There's no additional cost, and certainly as the Teams group is improving this capability, right? Down the road, there might be other opportunities to authenticate. This is just a summary of what the guest access capabilities are. You know, so it shows you what the Teams user can do and what the guest user can do. And you have control as well as admin. You can say, my guest cannot create channels. You can definitely do that. You can just limit that guest within the channel, sharing files, all that good stuff. Now, what are some of the new things that's been introduced recently, right? So calling is now available. So for example, if I go back to my Teams, I could do all the calls here. Very similar if you have voice enabled for Skype. So you can do it here. And obviously you can do it on the app as well. I can make phone calls, all that good stuff if you have that subscription. In UK, local data residency is already available. And you can check their website when the local data residency will light up here in Germany. I'm sure it's coming soon. There's a website with updates, roadmap updates for all of it. And then it also provides us new admin usage report. So this is kind of cool. So if I go to Admin Center and I want to see the activity, there you go. It provides me a great overview of adoption in the last 30 days, how many messages, how many chat, how many calls, and I can certainly slice and dice it and export however I want, right? So for adoption purposes and figuring out how it's being used, you can check that out. Now, as you can see, there's so much opportunity and so much you can do with Teams, right? But again, at the end of the day, it cannot just be a tool that your user would have as a nice to have. Just to kind of wrap up here, if you want to consider how to think about what to use when, I highly encourage you start with a business use case. While Teams is great, Teams will not solve every communication and collaboration need in your company. So for example, let's say I'm working on a project. Again, I have a project. I'm migrating Lotus Notes to Office 365. I go to Yammer, I ask, anybody work on that migration? Then somebody responded, okay, great. The project now has a site. I created Teams, and I use that SharePoint site in the project. As we're working on the project, we're refining the solution. We're chatting back and forth. There's a bot. And then I still use my email to get feedback from external SMEs. And then when I do my presentation, I use Tech for Business because it's still around. And then once the project is done, I can archive my project site. So the way we think about what to use when is really, what are we trying to do? We cannot expect our end users to, at least as a start, to figure out every single thing. we have to know what the differences are, and our guidance should be around the business use case. Tons of great resources from Microsoft, and again, this is a phenomenal and exciting technology. It's a game changer for your organization. If you want to try it out, my recommendation is have IT try it out right away. Don't worry about, oh, we need to do a project plan, a 3-year deployment of team. Just do it within your IT organization and see how it works. And then after IT, project management would appreciate it, marketing would appreciate it, and HR would appreciate it. Was denkst du? Alles gut? Danke.